Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. People are still funneling in, so we're going to get started in just a moment. We'll make sure that everyone has the opportunity to jump on before we get started. We'll just wait a couple more minutes. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Business. Refresh your website to make Google work for you, featuring Rathna Ramakrishnan. The WCWB hosts 2 Let's Talk Business episodes per month, and one's on the first Thursday of the month and one on the third Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. Before we get started, if you all wouldn't mind muting yourself, and if you're having an issue with the audio, you can always call in, and if you have questions, you can use the chat function. At the end of the webinar, we will have time for questions, so at that point, you can either put your question into the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. Just so everyone knows, this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded in our Let's Talk Business library on our website, and you can find other presentations on various topics of interest as well. So really quickly, we'll go over some of the resources that the WCWB has to offer. If you are interested in starting your own business, our Business Enterprise Startup Training BEST may be the program for you. It's an 8-week course with 1 webinar per week, and you'll receive access to a business plan web application that you can use to create a comprehensive business plan. By the time you finish the course, you will have a business plan ready to seek funding. We also are offering free business coaching. We're scheduling coaching right now, sessions on Zoom or over the phone. Eventually we'll be back in person doing in-person coaching though. Coaching topics can include startup assistance, business plan writing, marketing, and operations. And we also have a new coach who is a CPA and specializes in accounting and finances. The WCWB is located in the Thurston EDC and CBNI in the SPSCC Lacey campus. In the Thurston EDC, we have a number of partner organizations that assist entrepreneurs and business owners at various stages and aspects of business. Looks like the screen froze up here. The Small Business Development Center provides free business counseling to organizations, and they typically work with organizations that have already started or are in their earlier stages of business development. And we have the Washington Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC, which helps organizations to contract with city, state, and federal governments. If you think that you have a service that can be sold to the government, they can help you find and pursue those contracts. We also have a SCORE mentorship program. If you're looking for mentorship, this program offers free mentorship provided typically by retired business individuals that are volunteering to assist entrepreneurs and business owners in earlier stages of business development. And we also have our own version of Shark Tank called Think. It's a group of 40 local investors who are interested in investing in local Washington businesses. As seen in Shark Tank, you would pitch your idea to the investors who in return ask difficult questions. They're typically looking for businesses that have high growth potential. And we also have the Lacey Makerspace, which is located in the St. Martin's campus. It's like an inventor's workshop. You can create prototypes, or if you're just looking to get creative, the Lacey Makerspace has a lot of cool tools. If you're interested in pursuing more of our services, you can check out our calendar to see upcoming programs. And for more information about what the WCWB offers, you can email us, visit our website, or give us a call. I would love to introduce Rathna now. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and give you host controls, and the floor will be yours. Rathna, are you all good to go? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And whenever you are ready, you can take it away.
Yes, I will. I am going to share my screen. Hello, everybody. Thank you for making the time to spend an hour with me. I am excited to share information that's going to benefit your business. Could you confirm for me that you're seeing my presentation?
Yes, it is queuing up. Perfect.
All right, so we're going to talk about giving your website a refresh so you can make Google work for you.
I am noticing that it's flashing. I don't know if this is on my end, or Yessie, can you confirm if you can see the screen or not?
Yes, I can see the screen and it doesn't appear to be flashing on my end.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. If anyone has any issues, feel free to chat or unmute. All right, thank you.
Thank you. You know, there's so much craziness going on in the world that I thought I'd open up with a fun question. Why do digital marketers love to shop at Whole Foods? Why do you go to Whole Foods or to one of the nicer grocery stores? Perhaps you go to a little local store around the corner, but when you shop for food, why do you make those choices? Digital marketers love to shop at Whole Foods because they have a lot of organic content. And the focus of today's workshop is organic. To better understand what organic means, I want to show you the dashboard of a website, the Google Analytics for a website. And here you can see how the traffic is basically your potential customers that are coming to a website. So if you look at this breakdown, this was over a week. There are 11,000 people coming to this website. About 7,000 are direct, 3,100 are organic, and the remainder are coming in through social, referral, other sources, emails. And so the focus of today is organic. So what is the difference between direct and organic? Direct is when somebody knows your brand. You meet somebody at a networking meeting, you give them your business card, they take your business card and then they go and type in your URL into a search window. They're going to be tagged as direct. Or anytime you go and you shop, you're trying to buy a lawnmower and you go in and you type homedepot.com. So when the brand is known and somebody comes to your website, it's a direct search. Organic search is when somebody is searching for a specific product or service. If you were trying to buy a book or swim goggles, the first thing that shows up is Amazon, even though you're not typing amazon.com. And that's because Amazon has done the required work for its website to land on search every time somebody's trying to go shopping. And so what you want to do is, as a business owner, you want your website to give you that organic search. And if you have a website and if it's connected to Google Analytics, you want to be curious, you want to go in there and look at your data and see, somebody has their mic on, I believe it's Virginia. Could you please mute yourself? I'm getting an echo, So if you have Google Analytics connected to your website, if you have a website, you must have Google Analytics tied to it. And Google Analytics is just a simple line of code that you take and you embed into your website, and it's going to give you a wealth of information about who are the people that are coming to your website, where are they coming in from, how are they finding you, and how are they behaving once they land on your website. So you want to be curious and go look at your organic search numbers, and your goal should be to increase that organic search numbers. If you do the right things to your website, over time, this number can go from 3,000 to 30,000 to 300,000. And if you are at 30 right now, you want to ask yourself, how can I get to 300? If you're at 300, how can you get to 3,000? And it is a relatively simple, concerted process that you need to engage in to push these organic search counts up. Because when you have organic numbers higher, what it does for you is that you're getting new people that are searching for your product or service that Google is helping land on your website. And what Google does is it brings people home. And what you do with people that come home after that is your business. What that means is Google's looking at your homepage, driving that organic customer to your website. You need to have that spectacular offer or product or service that is going to take that potential customer and convert them into your customer. So that's where your website is going to do the magic. So today's focus is to understand how Google search works, the anatomy of a search results page, a Google search results page, because this will give you clarity as to how your website needs to be set up, how to perform a site search, and tips to give your website a refresh. And I'll be sure to save some time for Q&A. A little bit about me before we dive in. I started a children's education business 7 years ago. I'm a mom to 2 boys. They're 12 and 10. I went through a classic mommy moment, like many of us, when my firstborn started kindergarten. And I said, now what? Children grow up and they go away. Is this the inevitable fact of life? Am I going back to work? What am I doing with my time? And that led me down the path of becoming an entrepreneur. And I created a business where children came in and they were enriched and entertained through Lego, robotics, and Money 101, financial literacy programs. And I live here in California in the Bay Area, and the programs were scheduled to be offered in 22 cities in the Bay Area this summer. I was scheduled to hire 70 teachers. Of course, COVID had other plans. I pivoted, reimagined a lot of the curriculum, took it online, and had a pretty good run this summer with the online summer camps. But when I started my business 7 years ago, I was like any other business owner, starry-eyed with a bright idea, or believed that I had a bright idea. And I quickly went and built a one-page website on Wix. I started writing my curriculum because I had so many ideas to bring programs to children. And then I said, okay, now what? I have this website, I have all of this curriculum, and I know there are parents and children that should be enriched by this amazing curriculum. So what am I going to do? And I would run searches on my own website, and I realized that I was on page 19. And then I said, oh, perhaps I need to blog. Maybe I need to be on social media. You know, all those cycles of what do I do next? I went through all of that. And it was only through a concerted digital marketing strategy that I was able to take that one-page website and scale it into a meaningful business where I have served thousands of children with this curriculum and employed, you know, hundreds of teachers. So along the way, I realized that digital marketing was a disconnected piece for many business owners because I knew I was in every business owner's shoes. I had an idea, I built a web page, and then I said, now what, how am I going to scale this business? That I realized the power of Google, that Google as the largest search engine drives, you know, traffic to your website. So I said, I need to understand everything about how Google works. And that led me down the path of becoming a Grow with Google partner. So the Grow with Google partner, or the Grow with Google program, is a special program that Google has rolled out to help specifically small businesses. And it is an application, you know, the usual intense process of being accepted as a partner. But I decided to do that because anytime I spoke to a business owner, I felt like they were in the same funk that I was in, trying to better understand how to get more people, like how do I grow my business, you know, feeling frustrated. And what this partnership allows me is that I have a direct connect to the Grow with Google team here in Mountain View. And so if your website is not ranking, your page is not being shown the right way, I have a way to touch bases with them and you know, figure out the Google search part of it, provided you've done the basics of how your website needs to be found online. So I set myself a goal to help 10,000 small business owners unbox the true potential of your business using data. And I think every business owner, you should not only be focused on, you know, what is your revenue, what is your income, how many customers do you have, what fabulous packages you have, but you should also be really curious about your organic traffic. How many people are organically finding you on search? Because if you are a consultant, a service provider, the world is your playing field. You don't have to limit yourself to the networking and the word of mouth referrals. And how do you reach more and more people? It's by driving more and more organic traffic to your website. And it's completely doable, provided you have a data-driven strategy. So from scaling this education business, I came up with what I call an unbox guide to grow with Google. And if you look at it, it's a circle, it's a cycle. Basically, there are 5 steps to it. The first one being your business. So in the heart of it is your website. The first step is, does your business exist online? You know, you tell yourself, this year I'm going to spend $3,000. I am going to build a fabulous website. I know exactly what packages I want to sell. And you create that beautiful website. And then you're waiting for the magic to happen. And you're wondering, how come my phone's not ringing? Why am I not getting those customers in? Perhaps it's because Google doesn't know your website exists. And so the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, does your business really exist online? How do you do that? You want to have digital plumbing enabled on your website. Plumbing as in connected to Google Analytics. Do you have a Facebook pixel installed? And I'm going to talk more in detail about the total online presence, how you can button it up so your website becomes really friendly with Google. The second thing is, after you build your website, you can't just forget about it, because you need to deploy SEO tactics, which is search engine optimization tactics. And it's basically, you know, business owners always go, I don't want to learn more and more things. SEO is basically, how am I going to pull people to my website? How am I going to pull traffic, organic traffic to my website? How are you going to do that? You're going to do a keyword analysis. You want to know what your top 30 keywords are. So any content you're putting out is relevant. So when somebody searches for you, Google says, okay, I know this expert, let me show you their website. So you have to teach Google, or you have to become best friends with Google by having a concerted SEO strategy. The third thing is, it's not just Google. There's a lot of other directories where you can submit your website. Depending on the kind of niche you are, there are, you know, hundreds of Yahoo, Bing, you know, so you want to be sure that your website is submitted to those directories, because when you build a website and you're enabling it to be Google friendly, you're going to be found on Google search. But remember, we are trying to be found on the World Wide Web. And so therefore you want to think about directories and directory submissions and be sure that there's no wrong data out there which is confusing Google about your business. The fourth thing is to have a social media, email strategy, right? We all have a Facebook account, an Instagram account. You know, you don't need to do all kinds of social media for the specific niche that you're in. You know, perhaps Instagram or Pinterest works better. One is better than the other. No matter what you're doing, you can just have an attitude of, I feel like posting on social media today, therefore I'm going to wake up and post. You really need to put together a concerted plan. Look at the data. You know, when are your customers, which of your posts is getting enough traction? Even if you get a couple of likes, you know, why are those likes showing up? What time did you post? Was there a certain message that you used? Was it the fact that you were showing your face as the business owner and going live that improved it? So you really want to analyze, you know, every 30 days, analyze your social media posts, look at your email marketing, and basically on your website, have a way to collect email addresses when somebody lands on your website. Because if you have survived the World Wide Web and the search and somebody has landed on your website, right there, you need to have a strategy to capture that person's information. People, if they've come to your website, they will be inclined to give you their email address. So once you start collecting that email address and building your email list, you need to have, again, a data-driven strategy to manage your email marketing. And then the last step is Google My Business. Google My Business is an entire workshop that I teach where it's basically free real estate that you can claim on a Google search page. And as we go through my presentation today, I'll show you what Google My Business is. We have all seen and used Google My Business. So if your business can be listed on Google My Business and you have not done that, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because it is free marketing. And literally by having a solid Google My Business account, optimized with an execution plan. If you don't have a website, Google My Business has a one-page site that you can build within Google My Business. It will help you kickstart your business. If you're already in business, it will help your phone ring. So everybody should be thinking about your Google My Business profile. And the thing is, you can't just say, I'm going to look at my online presence, I'm going to blog a bit, I'm going to post on social media and forget about it. It is a cycle. You got to repeat it. You got to do it every day. You got to have a 90-day plan. You got to go look at your Google Analytics and see what's working, what's not. Perhaps you're posting on Facebook and Instagram is driving more traffic. Hey, then, you know, you need to put together a strategy for Instagram. So it's a cycle of where it's endless, right? The more you do it, the more of a plan you have, the more organic traffic you're going to get to your website. And you have to automate, right? You can't have a newsletter tool and a website and, you know, tracking your phone calls. And there is a way to automate all of this. And the more you think about automating it, the less you're going to work in your business, and you will have more bandwidth to work on your business. So 3 things I know for sure, having been, you know, a business owner that has scaled a business from literally just an idea to, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, is that anyone can generate clients online. However, you must customize. You can't just say, well, something worked for somebody, so it's going to work for me. You have to stop and look at the niche that you're in. You have to customize. And business need not be difficult. Business can be easy, provided you're putting your website to work, you're using data to help you guide those decisions, and every action you're taking to find that next customer is data-driven, right? Because this is wealth of information that Google's willing to give you through Google Analytics for free. So be curious and go in there and take a look at it. So before we go into the presentation, I wanted to ask you, what content management system or platform is your website built on? So I am just going to launch a quick poll. Robin, for some reason, I am not seeing the polling feature.
Let's see. It was down on the bottom, but I guess I'm not seeing it either.
Okay, so, well, that's fine. Interesting, when you do this swapping of the Zoom owners, sometimes you just lose let's try again. Okay, so if you want to drop it in the chat, we can do that as well, where I was just wondering whether you knew what platform your web, there you go, it showed up now. Okay, I'm going to launch the poll and please answer the poll. What content management system or platform is your website built on? Couple more seconds here. All right. 18 of 23. Okay. So a majority are on WordPress. We have some that are on Squarespace, some on Wix. I was just curious to learn what the other was. So if you can just drop it into the chat as to what platform your website is built on, that would be great. I am going to share the results. So you can see the results here. Again, a majority are on WordPress, some on Weebly, some on GoDaddy. So it's a mix. All of them have, some bells and whistles and some disadvantages. So it just depends on the price point, the kind of business you are, the cycle of business. So, no platform is, better than the others. So awesome. All right. So thank you for participating in that. So before we dive into your website, let's try to understand how search works. And search ties to your total online presence. How is your website being perceived by Google when somebody is searching for your product or service? So in order to understand this, you want to understand how the Google search engine works, right? So an easy analogy is to think of the Google engine as a giant library, a conventional public library. Every book in the library is a website. And Google's like the librarian who is, as a new book comes in, the librarian welcomes the book, indexes it, finds the category, catalogs it, puts it in the right shelf. So when a patron wants to find a book, they go, they search, they find it, right? Unlike a conventional library, for Google, which is again like a library, what's happening is the websites, which are the books are not coming in through the front door, they're coming in through the back door. And they're coming in really fast. Why? Because there are millions of people with millions of amazing ideas who wake up and say, I'm going to do something spectacular online, and they launch a website and they add it. They start indexing it with Google, and Google says, okay, there's all of these websites, welcome, right? And now the Google crawler says, okay, there's all of these websites. Your website only counts when Google has indexed your website, right? So you can keep pushing all those books into the library, but the only way the patron is going to find that book and be able to borrow it and take it home. Similarly, the only way somebody that is searching for your specific product or service is going to find you and land on your homepage is if your website is indexed. And in order for it to be indexed, it has to be compatible with the search engine. It's an algorithm, right? So it's relatively simple to crack because it's a code that you're trying to break. So what Google does is, as this information comes in through the back door, it starts organizing the information and stores it into Google's index. And the index is organized by page content and other factors. So there are actually 200 metrics that Google uses. And for simplicity, I'll just tell you there's 3 factors called NAP, which is your name, your address, and your phone number. If you want Google search to work for you, just go and check if your business name is listed uniformly on your website, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, wherever you have decided to put out a digital footprint. Are you using the same name, right? Because if you don't, you're going to send mixed signals to Google. Everybody need not have an address, but if you're a brick and mortar store, you have a physical store, then you need to be sure that your address is listed uniformly everywhere that you're listed. A phone number is a great way for Google to be able to identify you. It's a tag, it's a marker. So every business should have a phone number, even if you choose to run your business in a fashion where you're not going to answer the phone, right? That's okay, but you are missing out on a tag if your business does not have a publicly listed phone number, because Google's just, so this is 3 out of the 200 metrics, the 200 factors that Google uses to take your website, those books that are coming in through the back door, and quickly indexing them and cataloging them. So if somebody says, my AC is broken, it's hot, I need to get a AC repair guy, and you go and you search, then Google's automatically able to pull you up, provided you have listed that you serve that certain geography, you serve that, the 50-mile radius. Your website or your online presence has provided all of the information that Google needs to take and index you and quickly showcase you when somebody is looking for your service. So if you put yourself in the shoes of Google, Google's #1 goal is to be the world's best search engine, right? And they are already achieving that, because anytime we are trying to go search for something, we are always defaulting to Google. So how is Google keeping the quality of search high? By relying on high quality websites. And therefore, you want to be sure that your website matches all of Google's needs. So you are indexed and you show up on page 1 of search when somebody is looking for you. So when someone searches, the Google bot crawls and indexes billions of web pages, and literally in milliseconds, right, it's going to pull up whatever people are looking for. Think about how we behave when we're searching for something, right? In milliseconds, we want instant gratification. It pulls it up, displays it in milliseconds. You click on it, be it a dog groomer, pair of shoes you're shopping for. And so you want to, anytime you're adding a page, you're adding a product, you're adding a service, you're making tweaks to your website, you want to have good habits, and those good habits are what I'm going to teach you today. So your website is always going to be best friends with Google, because you have to put Google to work for you to drive that organic traffic. Only then you're going to get more and more sales and meet your revenue targets. So now that you know how search works, let's look at the anatomy of a search results page. Now, this is a comforting page that we've all seen billions of times in our lives, right? You go into a Google page and you enter a search query. And when you enter a search query, this is how the page looks, right? There is the search results, there's the page titles, there's the URLs, and then there is a page description. Where is all of this coming from? From your website. And so the page title, have you looked at the page titles on your website? Is your URL clean? Do you have a clear page description? This is 160 characters that show up on this page description. Is your description clean? And if you remember, the 5th item that I was talking to you about in my unbox guide is this free real estate here. This is the Google My Business Real Estate. Anytime you search for Mexican food or anything, right? This is what pops up of the restaurants that are near you. And so this is the Google My Business profile. Every business can be listed on Google with a Google My Business profile. And there is you have to set up the account, you have to verify it. And because Google's really big on only having high quality content, because they want to be the world's best search engine, not anybody can be listed here. You have to be an authentic business. You have to be verified. And it's a series of steps. And if you don't have this Google My Business panel popping up for you, you want to think about getting on it, because this is free marketing, right? So search results may include a business profile. And you must have seen this where where search results show ads, right? So there's ads, which are shopping ads with images, then there are text ads, and then below it is the list of websites. And the reason why I'm pointing this out to you is it's completely possible to have a zero budget strategy and put Google to work for you and get organic traffic, provided your website is in good shape. Because look at the competition that you're trying to beat. You have to get past the visual ads, the text ads, and then you have to land on search so people find you. This is why just creating a website and forgetting about it will not drive traffic for you, because you need to keep doing things so you become more and more Google friendly. Then the related searches appear below. So if you are in the mode of, I am not interested in spending on Google ads, completely fine, have a zero budget strategy, but you want to see how you can land below the paid ads so that you rank number one. If you have a panel that can show up here with Google My Business, that's going to serve you. So you want to perform a site search of your own website. I'm going to teach you how to search your own website so you can understand how Google is seeing your website when somebody is searching for you. So simply go to any search window and just type site:yourwebsite.com and hit enter. And you're going to be able to see your title, your meta description, the 160 characters. And what you see, if you're not pleased with it, if you have a certain wonderful service that you're hoping to be able to sell to people, and you go and you do the site:yourwebsite.com and you're not even seeing that page on search, guess what? The world doesn't know about your fabulous product or service. So you have to go do stuff on your website for it to start showing up on search, which means that page is not indexed in Google's library. The algorithm is not able to see that specific page. So that would be your first homework, is to go and see how is Google perceiving your website. If you just have 5 lines or 5 words, right? Then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you can have 160 characters. If you remember, you can have 2 lines. So are you really writing those 2 lines? Those 2 lines, when you give the job of telling somebody to build your website, they are not really thinking about these, unless good web designers will do the SEO work, but they have to ask you, because the web designer does not know your business. They should be tasking you and saying, hey, I need your description for these 10 pages that we're building on your website. What are you talking about? What are you selling? And you just wanted to read like a simple ad, like a conversation. And I'm going to show you some examples of how you can write those 160 characters so you become Google friendly. So I just did a random search of a local graphics store, just to grab as an example. And Redwood City Graphics, FAQs. Redwood City Graphics has provided California with high quality, low cost screen printing and embroidered products for 15 years. Okay, very good, but okay, what kind of graphics, right? So you see how the voice of what you're writing should not be salesy. It needs to be where the person can understand what product or service you're providing. So here are some pages that are not indexed. So if there are some important pages that you want indexed and they're not showing up, then when you do the site:example.com, it's going to show you whether those pages are indexed or not. Then you want to go ahead and make sure that on the back end of your website, they're indexed. If you have a lot of pictures, so Google cannot see photos. The Google algorithm cannot see photos. Anytime I work with business owners and I build websites for them, they're always excited, and they have a library of photos, and they're like, okay, page 1, I need these 6 photos, and the next page, I need 5 photos. And photos are fantastic, but Google cannot see photos. The Google algorithm can only see words and videos, which is why videos are so important. So if you really want your website to rank, you want to think about incorporating videos into your website. And there's what's called alt text that you can have as a description for every image. So this example that I just pulled up, they're a Redwood City local graphics design store. They print and they do a bunch of things. So all their images just says Redwood City Graphics, Redwood City Graphics, Redwood City Graphics, right? Now, if you go and you look at your website and it does the same thing, you are losing out on indexing or search potential, because you could describe this saying, embroidery on hats. you come buy your t-shirts here and we'll embroider it for you, right? So each of these is an opportunity for you to write an ad. And this is where I say that you don't need to spend money on Google Ads. This is your opportunity to be an ad. Every image is an ad. Every word that you have on the title of your pages is an ad. And why Google did this is because Google wants to be friendly to blind people. And so when a blind person lands on a page, they are going to be able to see what is not visually available to them by being able to hear the Google robot read out to them what they're seeing or what they're not able to see. And therefore, if you don't, make it too complicated, if a blind person was looking at that picture, what would you describe it as? Just in like, as though you're talking to a friend. That's all you need to do. It need not be savvy or cool or grammatically right or even complete sentences. It just has to be descriptive of what you're sharing via that picture. Because if you have a ton of pictures and you don't have your images named, those images are not doing anything for you in terms of search. But when a customer lands there, they're going to feel happy. They're going to see, your photos. They're going to know, hey, you're a yoga studio. Your studio looks really nice. But those photos of your yoga studio, if you want it to work for you, then you really want to describe what you're showing. A couple more things to check is whether your website is secure or not. If your website says not secure, you are not going to be Google's best friend, right? Because Google's trying to deliver high quality search and your website needs to be secure. If your website is built on a standard platform, WordPress would need a plugin, but if your website is built on several of the other platforms, it will be automatically secure. If it's not secure, you really want to make sure that your URL is secure. It'll basically say HTTPS and then the name of your website versus the S missing. So that's how you know whether you have security or not. And it'll clearly say not secure. If your website is not secure, it's not possible for you to become friends with Google. Google's not going to rank you. The other thing you can do is when you're on your website, you can simply right click on the page and this window will pop up and you can click inspect. And when you click inspect, it's going to show you this option here, which will look like a little cell phone. When you click on the cell phone, it's going to show you how your website looks on a cell phone. Think about how much time we all spend on our cell phones and how many decisions we make on our cell phones. And so if your business is not, your website is not cell phone compatible, you're going to lose people. Think about, you go on a website, you want to look at stuff, and then you keep scrolling back and forth, up and down, you're going to lose interest. So you can quickly go and do a check on your own website where you right click on it and then you click on inspect and then you click on the little cell phone that pops up. It's going to show you the code behind it, but on the left side, it's going to show you. So this example that I just pulled up, the Redwood City graphics, look at how their images are showing up. Nobody's going to feel inclined to like click on anything and shop. So it's an easy fix. Again, you have to go into the back end of your website. If you don't know how to edit this, you want to call your web developer and you want to check every page to be sure that it is cell phone compatible, because that is a huge requirement today in order to be a successful business, because everybody's on their phone, everybody's shopping on their phones. I just want to share with you a story of one of my customers. His name is Roger. He came to me with just a phone-based, word-of-mouth-based business, had a one-page website, and he really wanted to scale the business. He could see the potential. And, with concrete jobs, like backyard concrete jobs are each, $10,000. And he said, if I can just ramp this up, if I can hire a few guys and I can scale this, I'm so busy, I don't know what to do. So we helped him, be found online, basically make sure that his one-page website, you don't even need a lot of pages, just that home page that you have needs to be Google compatible. We, claimed his real estate on Google My Business, and basically, he hired a team. He was able to scale his business, and he did not spend on Google ads or Facebook ads, or you don't need to do that if you're just able to put him on social media, got him some social proof. Because how do we function when we're trying to shop for something? You go on Amazon, your eyes glance over to, is it 4.5 stars? Is it 5 stars? And you want to read those reviews. So he needed that credibility. And Google My Business allows you the opportunity to solicit reviews from your customers, so you can have that social proof, which is such a big deal of life today because everybody's online, everybody's shopping online, and you need that social proof to be able to sell yourself. And so just going through a checklist of things and aligning his business so it could be found online, it skyrocketed his business. So it's a concerted strategy, and it's doable. It is possible to get that organic traffic to your site. So again, the tips to give your website a refresh are a page title that describes the page topic, right? Which is the policies, Redwood City graphics. My lines are a little bit off. So the page title is that. And then the description, the meta description are these 2 lines. And these 2 lines are 160 characters. So if you go to site:/yourwebsite.com, you'll be able to see every page that's indexed. You'll be able to see every page, how it's showing up on Google search. And you should set aside 2 hours, look at every page and write those lines out and call your web designer and say, hey, please go ahead and update my meta description. Before you do that, go look at your Google Analytics. Once you fix that, you're going to see more people landing on your website because now you've told Google exactly what you do, and you're making it easy for Google to showcase you when somebody's searching for you. So here's an example that I just pulled for the Redwood City graphics. It says products. Here's the URL. You can determine what the URL of your page can be. So they just had example.com/page.jsp. Redwood City Graphics is provided California with high quality, low cost screen printing and embroidered, right? So I just rewrote that. Custom youth baseball tees, seasonal offers. Seasonal offers can be the URL. You can name your URL any way you want it. Great spring deals on custom youth baseball tees and jerseys. Shop kids graphic tees from top sports brands. That's what they do. But what are they talking about? That they have provided California with high quality, low cost screen printing and embroidery, right? You see the difference where you want it to sound like an ad. So if let's say there's a PTA mom or a baseball group mom that's responsible for ordering t-shirts, and she goes online and she searches kids tees, kids graphic tees. So that's all you want to do. If your customer who you know really well, if they were going to be searching for you, what are the words that they're going to use? Those are the words that you want in your description. You don't want it to be this cool thing of, hey, I've been in business for 15 years, I've served thousands of customers. That is a pat on your back for yourself. That's not really helping Google. That's not really helping a potential customer find you. And so I just wanted to give you a quick example of how you can use the title, right? There's no limit. You can use the title to say what you're selling. You have a special offer, go talk about it. You can change your title. Maybe you have a spring offer. Maybe you have a fall offer. Maybe you do something special in the holidays. But you have to tell Google what you're doing, because if you just build your website and you forget about it, it's not going to work for you. And you can name your link appropriately. So it says seasonal offers. And then what are you selling? Be excited about it. Describe it like somebody would be searching, but what the word somebody would be using when they search for your product or service. You have to create a sitemap, and a sitemap is an important way for pages to be indexed by Google. And it's not an extra step that you need to create. If you're using one of the standard website building, Wix, Squarespace, all of them, they're all great in generating a sitemap. But if you're using a good web developer, they should know if any of your pages are not indexing, it's possible to generate a sitemap and submit it. And then that's how the algorithm will know that your page exists. So you can index your page. And so it's basically an XML file that you take and you submit it. And when Google crawls, it's going to be able to index your website. So when you are doing that site:/yourwebsite.com and you find pages that are missing, you can go and fix a few things on your page, and then you can submit a sitemap, and then you give it a little bit of time, you'll start showing up on search. All images, you want to not use the same description. So, make this an immediate homework project. So you can go ahead and name all your images appropriately. And then you want to optimize your image files and names so the search engine can understand it easily. Most websites, if you go look at it, it'll say image1.jpg or dscn5.png, because whatever file you sent your developer, they would have just taken it and put it on your website. And nobody's thinking about, hey, does Google care about this? So if somebody's searching for something and it says .jpeg, then your website's probably going to show up when somebody's looking at how do I compress a JPEG, or, how do I find a photographer, or something completely irrelevant to this niche that you're in, versus how you could potentially be renaming each of these like a little ad, like something that you would describe to a person that cannot see that image, because that's how the Google algorithm crawls and looks at images on your website. Keep images fresh. Google loves new content. So, use new images, use your own images. Don't default to a lot of stock images. You become really special when you have your own authentic images. It need not be the best quality lighting, or you don't need to hire a professional photographer. The more original it is, if you have a store, take a photo of your store and post it. That is going to serve you versus going and buying all the cool stock photography. And be sure that the file names are easily recognizable. If it's not secure, come up with a plan to make your website secure. And if you are showing up as dangerous, then your website does not even exist according to Google. So go and see if you're popping up as dangerous, because some websites that were built a while ago, they're so incompatible with the Google algorithm that you'll actually see that exclamation mark coming up. Most websites, if it's not HTTPS, it's going to show up as not secure. So it's an easy fix. You can just connect with your web developer. They should be able to fix it for you. So this should be a priority to make sure that your site connection is a secure connection, so it becomes friendly with the Google algorithm. So unsecure website will say not secure. A secure website will be clean. It'll say HTTPS. Here's the example.com. You want to be sure that your website is, compatible with devices. So the issue is that this website is not compatible with mobile devices. So you want to be sure that it's cell phone compatible. Right click on your website, click on inspect, click on the little cell phone on the top. You'll be able to see how your website is perceived on somebody's cell phone. And it's a very easy fix, and your website must be cell phone compatible. See if it's cell phone compatible, how it looks versus not. Organized content is easy to find and view. Intuitive, people click on it, it enlarges the images, they can see the price. You see how easy the process becomes in terms of people being able to shop. So you want to go ahead and look at your own website on your phone and see that it's compatible. If you add a product or service, immediately go check that page to be sure that it looks great on a cell phone. So when you think about websites, this is the generic, the traditional versus modern differentiator, right? Most business owners think of it as a business expense. You start a business and you say, well, I really don't have $2,000 to invest in a business, business website. I'm just going to take some time. It is not a business expense. It is a growth investment. If you do not have a storefront, or even if you have a storefront, that website is a growth investment, because it's going to drive that organic traffic to your page, which is then going to convert to customers. So you want to switch your attitude of looking at your website as an expense. It's not an expense, it's a growth investment. And it's not a digital brochure for you to just, grab some photos, tell a story and then forget about it. Your website is a product. It's one of your largest main products, and it has the capability to have huge impact on what it does for your business. And so that's why it's important that you can just say, okay, on my to-do list for 2020, I want to build a website for my business, and forget about it. You can, because you want to be sure that your the titles, the meta descriptions, you want to keep your nose in your website and think about what it's doing for you. You want to know how much traffic is coming to your website. Is it direct? Is it organic? Because initially, when I built my website for my children's education business, I had no organic traffic. And then over time, the direct traffic numbers, as it grows and grows, then what happens? It means that people are actually, they know your brand and they're going and searching for your brand. So the cool spot to be in is to have your direct numbers more than your organic numbers. That is, if you're choosing to have a zero budget attitude, your organic will be, lower. But if you spend a little bit, those organic numbers can go up. But even without a spend, if you don't just treat your website as a digital brochure, but as a product, and you work on it consistently, then those organic numbers will keep growing. And don't assume, hey, I spent this money, I don't know whether this website's doing it for me. If you built a website many years ago, it's a good idea to go ahead and update it to be sure that it's compatible with the Google algorithm. It meets, the new standards. Even if it's one page, it's going to give you new customers, where you're not just assuming, but you're making those data-driven decisions, right? You can clearly tell what Facebook is doing for you. You can clearly tell how many people are coming in from Instagram. Should you be on Pinterest or not? You may not be on Pinterest, but if you go stare at your Google Analytics, you'll be surprised that somehow people are being driven to your website from Pinterest. Then guess what? You put together a 90-day strategy for Pinterest, it's going to give you more customers that come out of it. So be curious in going and looking at your own data, your website's data, and how do you do that? With Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, or you don't know whether it's installed, that's the first thing that you want to do, because it's free. Google just gives you this tool for free. And so you have to connect it to your website, which is what I call as plumbing. You want to connect it to your website so you're able to garner that valuable information that sits out there. And it's not just a matter of, is it just, direct or organic? It's going to tell you that there's more people coming to your website on a Friday night versus a Sunday evening. If you have this sort of detailed traffic information, what I did was I realized that, as a parent myself, I know how I function, but a majority of the traffic to my education business was coming in on Saturday afternoons and Sunday nights. Guess what? You're going into the new week. As a parent, you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my kids? What's happening the next week? You're looking ahead. And so I started sending out offers and newsletters to match that traffic spikes within analytics. And my newsletter rates, open rates, went up. And so there's a lot of connections that you can draw from your data. So if you have a data-driven strategy and you make your decisions based on data, if you have a Google My Business profile, the Google My Business profile will give you insights every month as to the top 30 keywords that people are searching to find you. And you'll realize that some of those keywords don't even, they're not connected to your website. That's when you tweak and you optimize your profile, and then you're going to have more and more people coming in. You literally have clicks from your Google My Business profile to prove that you had 13 phone calls, you had 17 phone calls, 50 people looked up directions to come to your store, right? You'll be able to make those data-driven decisions instead of assuming, hey, I got a website, I think it's doing its job. And so the SEO tactics, the Google Analytics is such a huge piece. And if you spend a little bit of time and you have a Google My Business profile and you go and you look at your keywords, you put those keywords to use for you when you write any content, captions for your social media posts, you're creating blogs, all of that is going to increase your digital footprint in that specific niche that you're in. So think about that library. The more and more pertinent information you're going to stuff into your book, right? Then it's going to be indexed, and Google's going to say, okay, if you're looking for an accountant here in Washington in this zip code, I recommend this person, and you're going to pop up because you've done the work of listing yourself. So to recap, update page titles and descriptions, keep page titles and descriptions unique, short, and informative, right? You don't want it to read like you tooting your horn, which is what that example was doing. We've been in business in California for so many years, but that's not providing relevant information. Use an XML sitemap if you're having a lot of pages that are not indexed. If you've had a website for a while, this should not be an issue. Update the image file names and descriptions. Keep file names and descriptions refreshed, unique, and informative. You don't want every picture to be named the same thing. Use a security certificate to provide site visitors with a safe experience, because without safety, Google's not going to be your friend. And make sure that you're providing users with a great site experience, regardless of what device they're looking at it. Is it an iPad? Is it a cell phone? It doesn't matter. And it's really easy. All of the website platforms are dynamic. So it's really easy to build websites that are compatible, provided whoever is building your website stops and checks the mobile version. Anytime they add a page, they check the version and be sure that it's compatible. If you would like to get an easy to use website checklist, it would be my honor. I'd be delighted to send it to you. You can just send me an email to hello@smallbizunboxed.com. I'll just run a quick timer here so we can take 30 seconds. If you want to just send me an email and say website checklist, and I'd be happy to send you my checklist and you can use it. It has a lot more details, more than the 5 things that I addressed, and you can use it yourself to improve your website. So hello@smallbizunboxed.com, just send me an email with website checklist.
So much, Rathna. That was a lot of information. Are you ready to jump right into questions? We have.
I just have one more piece. So what's next? This is something that I love to do when I teach workshops. Is if you are committed to growing your business, you want to think about a zero budget marketing strategy. Be found on Google without an ad spend. One of the things that I love to do is to run a report of how your business is perceived online. So if you're so inclined to spend one-on-one time with me, it would be my honor to speak to you. So just go to growthplancall.com and just find a time slot that works for you, and I'll circle back and we can spend some time together. And if you schedule in the next 15 minutes, I'd be happy to run a rapid audit of your online presence, and I'll actually present to you 6 factors that would make a huge difference for your website to be found online. So, we're all business owners. We get busy. We go to these workshops and we tell ourselves, okay, I'll do it later. So I want to incentivize you to set up some time. I'd love to look at your online presence and give you the tips and tricks on what you need to do to become more, Google compatible and Google friendly, as well as, I can give you ideas on how to automate all of this stuff so you have more time to work on your business instead of in your business. So growthplancall.com. And there are some others. This is one of my favorite quotes. Ever since I became a business owner, I think of these lines. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was a season of light. It was a season of darkness. It was a spring of hope. It was a winter of despair. And we had everything before us. We had nothing before us. And as a business owner, I'm sure we all go through these cycles of, yay, I got 3 customers, and you feel really happy, and the season of light, and then you're doing all of this work and you're creating all these packages and products, and your phone's not ringing, and you feel that despair, and you go through these cycles of best times and worst times. And how do you get away from these best times and worst times? Is by relying on data, by having that concerted plan of knowing what is working, what is not, by looking at your analytics, by looking at your data, because you don't have to keep guessing and go through these up and down cycles. You can have a revenue goal and you can meet it if you have a data-driven strategy. I do have a closed Facebook group where I share Grow with Google tips for small businesses. The group is called Grow with Google Tips for Small Businesses. So you can look it up on Facebook, and I'd be happy to have you join that group. I do share a lot on Instagram. I teach a lot of what I'm teaching right now on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram at SmallBizUnboxed. And I would love to speak to you if you just want to email me. So that's all I have. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm gonna start reading some of the questions that we already have in the chat. So we have a few, let's see. So from Fiona, if it is showing HTTP:, then is this an unsecure website? So how can we tell if it's unsecure just by looking at the URL?
The HTTPS is an indicator of it's secure. So all secure websites, the URL will read as HTTPS:// and then www. the name of the website. So it must say S. So that's the security certificate. And it depends on the platform that your website is built on to make it, to convert it to HTTPS.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And now we have another question in regards to secure websites. How do you make your website secure if you're using Squarespace or Wix?
Squarespace or Wix is, it's inbuilt. So depending on the age of the website, if you built it a while ago for Wix sites, they may not be secure, but pretty much you really shouldn't be thinking about security, because that's why you're paying for the tool, and the tool will automatically make sure that your website is Google compatible. Although when you log into your dashboard, be it Wix or Squarespace, you'll see this pop up, or on the left side in your menu, you'll see certain actions that you need to take to make your website be found on Google. So you want to go ahead and be sure that all those steps are done. And for sure, connecting it to analytics, connecting it to your Facebook pixel, you don't need to run ads. What you do is when you connect your page to a Facebook pixel, it starts building what's called a custom audience. Your pixel is going to remember what kinds of people are coming to your website. So should you decide to go and invest in ads, then your website is already going to give you information on the kinds of people that are coming to your website. So you really want to have that digital plumbing set up, and there is no specific step that you need to take for Wix or Squarespace. If you're using any of the paid platforms, it'll automatically be HTTPS. If it's not, it might be a few things that you have to go ahead and tweak in your dashboard.
Great, thank you. And then how does one do a keyword analysis?
A keyword analysis can be an entire workshop. There's tools that you can use. That's where the Google My Business profile is a great resource for giving you real search terms of how people are landing on that Google My Business panel on a search page. And so there's tools you can use. So it'll take me a little bit of time to explain how to do a keyword analysis, but the simplest way to do it is for you to think about what are the words that people are likely to use when they're searching for you, right? And write those words down. Those are the keywords, right? What is the differentiator that you have as a product or a service that some other service does not have? And those are your keywords. Those are your organic keywords. But you can literally go and look at your competition. You can look at your own data, and you can make lists of words, and then you can look at popular words based on ad spend. So even though you are not spending on ads, if there are people in your niche that are spending on ads, you can go and see what those words are that are within that niche. And then you can take those words, and then you can come up with a list of 30 words. You can work with those 30 words, see what those 30 words do for you. And these are not just words, they can be phrases too. And then you can, stop, do another analysis, and course correct. So there is a wealth of information that sits out there for keyword analysis based on other people's ad spend, what your competition is doing, how people are searching. So all of this is available. It's just a matter of doing a concerted search and creating a keyword list for the specific kind of business that you are.
All right.
I'm sorry, it's not easy for me to just give you A, B, C, do this, and you got your keyword analysis. But in simple terms, don't think about selling your business. Think about how somebody is going to be searching for your business. That is the keyword. That's the fundamental difference.
Okay, and then from Nat, we have, hello, I was wondering if you have any preferences for platforms for e-commerce. I'm currently using Wix, but have been considering switching to Shopify.
It depends on what you're selling. Definitely Wix is probably not the best platform if you need a store, you need a cart, you need to track, cart abandonment. They have improved the Wix portal, since the last time, since 7 years ago. I've worked on it a lot. I've built a lot of Wix websites, but it's not the ideal e-commerce website. It just depends on how large your inventory is, your price points, what you're selling. So I can't really make a recommendation without just quickly studying your business.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself at this point as well, or you can still continue to drop them into the chat. And thank you, Rathna, for providing all your contact information. It looks like, are there any tips on adding videos?
So the second largest search engine in the world, anybody want to take a stab at it, take a guess? The second largest search engine in the world is YouTube. And YouTube is owned by Google. And so your best bet in trying to post video is to post it on YouTube and then grab a link from YouTube and then push it on your website. And you want, again, the description of your video optimized. You want to have, an index card, an end card, your video to have the appropriate information. So Google sees videos. So if you have a video on your homepage, your organic traffic will go up. And the way you want to embed that video is push it onto your YouTube account, grab the URL, and then post it onto your website. So then you're double dipping, right? You're going to be, when somebody searches, you're going to pull up on the YouTube search as well as Google search, and so it's actually going to help you rank higher.
Awesome. All right. Are there any other questions before we wrap up today?
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. It was my honor to speak to you. This is my favorite thing to do, is to speak to business owners. And I teach a lot of workshops on a lot of different topics. So I hope to stay in touch, and I wish you the best, and everybody stay healthy and take care. Bye.
Bye, Rathna. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you next time. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye.
Bye.